My new neighbor, let's call her Linda, has been the talk of the town since she moved in. She's the kind of person who believes the world revolves around her, and she's not shy about letting everyone know it. So, this whole mess started on a perfectly normal Tuesday afternoon. I was heading out to run some errands and noticed my car was low on gas. My local gas station is just a couple of blocks away, so I figured I'd fill it up on my way. As I pulled out of my driveway, I saw Linda struggling with her own car. The hood was up and she was pacing back and forth, looking incredibly frustrated. I'm generally a nice guy, so I pulled over and asked if she needed a hand. She immediately launched into a tirade about how her car had run out of gas, and how it was a huge inconvenience because she had a very important yoga class to get to. I felt a little bad for her, despite our rocky start, so I offered to give her a ride to the gas station to get a can of fuel. And that's where things took a turn for the absurd. She looked at me, then at my car, and said, "All right, don't be ridiculous. Just give me some of your gas." I was a bit taken aback. I tried to explain that I couldn't just siphon gas out of my car. I don't carry the equipment for that, and besides, my tank was nearly empty anyway. I repeated my offer to drive her to the gas station, which was literally a 2-minute drive. She scoffed as if I'd offered her a plate of dirt. "I don't have time for that," she snapped. "You have gas in your car? Just give it to me. It's a neighborly thing to do." The sheer entitlement was breathtaking. I politely but firmly told her no, that wasn't possible. And my offer to give her a ride was the best I could do. She was not happy. Her face turned red, and she started raising her voice, accusing me of being selfish and unneighborly. She insisted that, as a good neighbor, I was obligated to help her in any way she demanded. According to her, my refusal to magically produce gasoline from my near-empty tank was a personal insult. She started pointing a finger at me, saying, "I'm going to report you to the HOA for this. This is unacceptable behavior." I just sighed, realizing this conversation was going nowhere. I told her the offer for a ride still stood, but I had to go. I got back in my car, and as I started to pull away, I heard her scream, "You can't just leave. I need gas. I'm calling the police." I honestly thought she was bluffing. Who calls the police over something like this? I just shook my head and drove off toward the gas station. I filled up my tank, grabbed a coffee, and started my errands. About 20 minutes later, my phone rang. It was an unknown number, but I answered anyway. A man identified himself as Officer Bennett and asked if I was the owner of a vehicle matching my car's description. My heart skipped a beat. I confirmed I was, and he explained that a complaint had been filed against me. I was completely confused. The officer then told me that a woman, my neighbor, Linda, had called 911, claiming I had refused to provide her with life-saving resources in an emergency. I couldn't believe my ears. She actually did it. She called the cops. The officer sounded tired, as if he'd dealt with calls like this before. He asked me to explain my side of the story. So, standing in the middle of a grocery store aisle, I calmly recounted the entire incident. I told him about her car being out of gas, my offer to drive her to the station, and her bizarre demand for me to siphon fuel from my own vehicle. I emphasized that my tank was nearly empty and that I had no way of transferring gas anyway. I made sure to mention her threat to report me to the HOA and her dramatic declaration that she was calling the police. The officer was quiet for a moment, and then I heard him sigh heavily. "All right, sir," he said. "It sounds like this is a civil matter, not a police emergency. We're on our way to her location now to sort this out. Can you tell me where you are?" I gave him my location, and he asked if I could meet him back at our neighborhood. I agreed, paid for my groceries, and headed home, wondering what fresh level of crazy I was about to walk into. When I got back to my street, it looked like a scene from a TV show. There were 2 police cars parked behind Linda's car, lights flashing. Linda was standing there, arms crossed, talking to one of the officers. The other officer, who I assumed was Officer Bennett, saw me pull up and walked over to my car. He was a tall guy with a calm demeanor, but he looked thoroughly unimpressed. "Thanks for coming back," he said. "So, she's telling my partner that you refused to help her, and that you should be arrested for?" "Well, she's not entirely sure what, but she's demanding we arrest you." He gestured over to Linda, who was now pointing at me dramatically, her voice carrying across the street. She was claiming I had deliberately tried to leave her stranded. I walked over with Officer Bennett, ready to face the music, or in this case, the screeching. As we approached, Linda's tirade intensified. "There he is, Officer Hayes, the man who refused to help me. He has a full tank of gas, and he wouldn't even give me a little bit. You should be arrested for negligence, or theft. He stole my ability to get to my yoga class." The other officer looked at me, then at his partner, with an expression that screamed, "Can you believe this?" Officer Bennett calmly turned to Linda and said, "Ma'am, he is not obligated to give you his personal property. He offered you a ride to the gas station. That's more than generous." Linda just sputtered, but it was an emergency. I could have been stuck here for hours. The officer wasn't having it. He explained to her, very slowly, as if talking to a child, that running out of gas is not a police emergency, and that calling 911 for such a reason is a misuse of emergency services. He told her that she could actually be fined for it. Her jaw dropped. The idea that she could be the one in trouble was clearly something that had never crossed her mind. She tried to argue, saying it was my fault for being so unhelpful, but the officer cut her off. He handed her a pamphlet for a roadside assistance service and told her that they would not be arresting me. In fact, they were leaving, and they strongly advised her not to call 911 again unless there was a real emergency. The officers got in their cars and drove away, leaving Linda standing there, utterly defeated and speechless for the first time since I'd met her. The aftermath was quiet. For about a week, I didn't see or hear from Linda at all. It was blissful. The HOA sent out a general newsletter reminding everyone about the proper use of community resources and neighborly conduct, which I found pretty amusing. I never found out if she was fined for the 911 call, but she definitely got the message. A few days later, I saw a tow truck dropping off her car, which had presumably been taken to a shop. She saw me watching from my window and quickly hurried inside. We haven't spoken since, but I do get the occasional glare when we pass each other. I've learned that sometimes the best way to deal with a Karen is to stay calm, stick to the facts, and let them tangle themselves up in their own absurdity. Thanks for listening to my story, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Karen Conflict for more.